Hello there everybody, how's it going and how have you been? Welcome back to SpaceChem. Just like I promised at the end of the last episode, we are just going to go straight into this production level because I did a bit of thinking and I've come up with a general idea that I think should work. I will need to actually figure out the specifics as I build it, but I think it'll run alright. And just to give full disclosure, the reason this redo button is lit up is because I started a recording, but then realized that I forgot to change a setting really quick, and I had to quickly stop and back up to this. Don't worry, I didn't get very far. Literally all I did was just reset the pipes and put down 2 more reactors. That's as far as I went before I realized I forgot to tweak a setting and had to stop. So, my idea is to run the pipe from the pump, the atmospheric pump, into our first reactor. What is going to happen is the nitrogen will come right out. The nitrogen gas will come out of this upper pipe and go straight into this reactor. Or actually, was it nitrogen gas or was it nitrogen atoms? I think it might have been actually nitrogen atoms for the solution that I thought up. Regardless, it shouldn't be that difficult to reconfigure the solution to work between the two. Now, out the bottom, this one I know I remember, I want to send the oxygen gas. And then out the top of this guy, I will send oxygen, atoms, and I also want to hook the lower pipe to the recycler. Now, kind of a strange setup, but basically what's going to happen is this reactor is going to separate the nitrogen and the oxygen gases. So that way I have standardized inputs going into the other 2 reactors, and I know for a fact, well, they're standardized. I know what's going to come in, so I know exactly what I can do with them. So the usual deal is at first, let's see. Actually, no. I'm going to rethink what I rethought and make it so that all this guy does is just split the nitrogen gas and the oxygen gas. So I'm going to build a system very similar to what I made in the first level, where we were introduced to our atomic sensors, and just not try to grab something out of the output zone like I have been doing. Just very simplistic loop, just set it up like that. However, is there really any point to having blue mimic red and do the same exact thing? Not really. Nah, this blue reactor, Blue Waldo, can just have the day off, I guess. Now, how about I tackle the more complicated of the 2 secondary reactors first, which is this guy. What I want to do here is 1 oxygen molecule I get, I break the atoms apart and funnel them one at a time out the side input. the next 2 oxygen molecules I get, I just dump into the recycler and then repeat. So basically this reactor is bleeding off 2/3 of the oxygen I get to bring it back into balance with the nitrogen. Now the only question is, how am I going to get one Waldo to go twice for every 1 loop of the other Waldo? Well, first off, it doesn't matter which Waldo does which job. So let's just go ahead and build the loop that each one's going to follow. Actually, if Red's going to be the one that trumps off the oxygen, he's going to have to break things apart. And I think I see a clever way of doing this. I put 3 bonders in a row right here and tell Red to break the bonds on these 2. What should happen is the oxygen atom he's not holding onto will be left behind right here. So then I can do kind of an extra loop-de-loop to take care of both atoms. There we go. And then all that blue needs to do is just take the oxygen down to here and throw it away, basically. So blue's got a simple job. Again, what's not going to be simple is having blue run twice for every 1 loop of red. Let me think. If I put a sync command... Well, obviously I'm going to want blue to wait, because I do want red to go first, just so that there's oxygen atoms for the final reactor as soon as possible. And the problem is, if I just have red hit a sync, blue's going to start going, but he's also going to start going. So, do I need, like, 3 syncs for blue? And only 2 for red? Would that work? I don't think so, because he just pushed blue forward again when he hits his second sync, right? Well, really quick, I can fix that, because I just noticed it. I'm really having trouble figuring out Oh, wait. I think I might have an idea. I've also got a tickle in my nose that won't turn into a full-fledged sneeze. Ugh. The idea is, what if instead of trying to have blue complete 2 full loops for every 1 full loop of red, I have blue complete a full loop for every half of red's loop. And what I mean by that is, what if I use this extra space over here to my advantage and have red start blue and wait here, and then I can have him start blue and wait here. So then blue's waiting here, and then that's the sync he uses to push red forward. Okay, this is kind of complicated, but what I think will basically happen is when red delivers the first oxygen atom, he's going to wake up blue and then wait for blue to throw away 1 oxygen gas. Then pick up the other oxygen atom, and this time he will turn blue on before sending it out, but that's alright because they shouldn't be anywhere close to bumping into each other. And then wait for blue to finish. I think that'll work. I kind of want to test this really quick though, so let's see if... Okay, cool. If we get an oxygen molecule... Actually, I can check and make sure that this simple setup is going to work. Always better safe than sorry. And out it goes. Let's just click it up to 2. Actually, hang on. Okay, cool. So here's what I want to see. So, alright, the atom's left behind. Red. Oh. Dang it. Okay, so... Good news is, I think this idea of making blue start every half loop of red will work. The bad news is something I think I forgot to mention about these output commands, and it's that if there's multiple separate things in the output zone, this output command will... Bleh. The output commands will basically trigger every cycle until the output zone is clear. So what happened was the one that was in the spot I wanted to leave left, but the other atom, which is all by himself in the zone, also got sent out. And yep, so we have 1 oxygen atom in the right spot and 1 in not the right spot. Yeah, nope, I don't want to leave the level, actually. Okay. Did not foresee that coming. Can I grab... Can I just maybe swap some of these commands around? Because I never have to worry about blue crashing into anything red's doing, because he's already going to have thrown away his molecule by then. Yeah, so let's try restructuring some things. Now the problem is I need red to grab the oxygen at the second oxygen atom before he hits the first output command. So I think I'm going to have to do this. Yeah, I will have to dump this sync command, because basically he'll just reuse this one to both know when blue's done and when to go forward. think that'll work better now. Kind of a weird figure 8 pattern he has to follow, but if it works, alright. So, yeah. Alright. He hasn't left yet because he hasn't reached the output command. Blue has to throw away one of the oxygen gas. And sweet, I think that works. Alright, now in the interest of speeding this process up just a little bit, because basically no oxygen atoms will reach the final reactor until blue has thrown away one O2 molecule. Let's move the sync over to here. It should be fine because the recycler can never back up, so blue will never get stuck waiting. Likewise, I really don't think there's any chance of them crashing into each other. So I think this reactor is good. Now, finally what I want to do is going to be very complicated. I'm checking my phone. I've already spent nearly 17 minutes on this, and it certainly does not feel like it. Okay. Want to move that over there. Can I get the sorting reactor to do a little bit more work? Yeah, I can actually. By doing something similar to what the oxygen reactor is doing. If I just let red... there we go. So now, hopefully what should happen is red will strip away 2 of the bonds of the nitrogen gas before sending it off to the last reactor, which will make its job just a little bit easier. Of course, I actually have to wait for a nitrogen gas to show up before I can know for sure if I'm doing things right. Speed 2. Oh, okay, there we go. And yes. Alright, it's down to 1. So, in the interest of keeping the notes accurate, now what red's going to do is just grab the very weak N2 molecule, cut the final bond, and leave half of it behind. Then yeah, grab drop here. Call in an oxygen atom, which will appear right here on the bonder. And then double bond the oxygen to the nitrogen, pick it back up, and deliver it. Now, likewise, blue is going to have to wait just so that he and red don't fight over the same oxygen atom. And blue's going to call in the next atom, and then just... actually, I don't have to loop around that way. I can kind of do a little U-turn to make room for the double bonding commands. And then, just because I like specifying these, just because I'm kind of weird that way, pick up the completed atom, or atom molecule, and deliver it. Now, I'd like red to turn blue on. That's not sync. That's a sync. Yeah, red can turn blue on right there. He will wait to receive verification from blue that blue is done. Right up here, right about the start point, and blue will signal that he is done right here. Or right there, apparently, because the game wants the command right there. Okay. I think this will work. We've seen that this guy both sorts the two gases apart and weakens the nitrogen molecule. You've seen that this guy basically bleeds off 2/3 of the oxygen that comes in, and the remaining 1/3 is split apart into atoms. And then this guy finishes breaking the nitrogen apart, and then puts one molecule together, and then has blue put the second molecule together to get rid of the remaining nitrogen atom. I think it'll work. So let's go ahead and hit speed 2, just because we're a few reactors down the line and we have to wait to see an atom or a molecule show up. Anytime now. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, red cut the bond. Oxygen was already ready, and oh, this works so beautifully. Look at that. Can I see it on a slightly faster speed setting? Whenever is there a clog? No, it's just taking forever for a nitrogen to show up. Oh, there we go. I say that. Yeah, look at that. In fact, I don't think I actually need these sync functions. I'll leave them there anyway, just to make sure. Yeah, I think this guy seems to be working okay. It's venting all the excess oxygen that we don't need. It's putting the final molecule together, yeah. A little bit slow, but oh, actually not all that slow. Cool. Okay, no thanks necessary. I am 23 minutes in, but I hate to make it just one episode, especially this early, or one level in episode this early on. So let's at least take a look-see. Very small bit of story, but there you go. Okay, this one's going to be a bit complicated. You've got another pump with the same 3-to-1 mix of oxygen and nitrogen, but we've also got an oceanic pump that is sucking up salt water, and we're getting 2 water molecules for every 1 salt molecule. Okay. Looking at this, I already see that whichever reactor is going to have to handle the oceanic pump is also going to have one of its outputs go to the recycler, simply because this chlorine atom is not needed in either freighter. So the chlorine's going to have to be thrown away. And I think what I also would like to do is throw away one of the 2 hydrogens from the water. because the most hydrogen we're ever going to need is just one. And that way, for the nitric acid, I can just go ahead and stick the OH pair directly onto it. And then I guess whatever reactor has to make sodium nitrate is just going to have to also have a pipe lead up to the recycler to throw away the hydrogen that gets replaced with the sodium. Okay, the other thing is, again, we're getting way too much oxygen for the nitrogen we're receiving. Although not quite as badly this time. This time I would like 2 oxygens per nitrogen. Because I can I can basically just pull the oxygen gas apart, stick one of the nitrogen atoms in the middle, and I basically get this kind of the standard part of both the nitric acid and the sodium nitrate molecules. So it almost seems like I'm gonna need like maybe 2 reactors up here, putting the nitrogen and the oxygen together. I'm going to need a reactor down here to handle the water and the sodium chloride, and then I'm going to need like a reactor or 2 to actually put the 2 results of these guys back together. Oh boy. Yeah, this is going to be a complicated level. Oh, actually, hang on. I see something that might make things a little bit easier. I think I can actually get away with not throwing away any of the oxygen, and instead have whatever reactor or sets of reactors up here handling the stuff from the atmospheric pump. Instead, make this whole NO3 part of the molecule. And then all this guy has to do down here is just pull away a hydrogen or pull away a sodium, throw away what's left, and then hook them together, and then whatever reactor does that also determines whether to send it to, which freighter to send it to. I believe that'll work. Hopefully. Okay, now, here comes a question on the topic of recording. Do I build half of the solution now and save the other half for the next episode? You know what, let's at least build some of it. So let's go ahead and just plug you in there. You can hook into the beta input, that's fine. Now, how about the trash pipe? I want to make this as straight as possible, just so that it's as easy as possible to make other pipes cross it. And then you... Okay. Yeah, so either a sodium atom or a hydrogen atom will come out of this reactor and go into here, which will then be attached to the nitric acid or the sodium nitrate, and then determined and sent to the correct freighter. Now, the difficult part is going to be breaking down and recombining the 2 gases. But let's at least rig this guy up. And actually, yeah, this time red can take the day off. Blue can go ahead and call in a molecule, grab it. Now, according to this note, you will either grab onto a hydrogen atom or a sodium atom. You'll haul it over here, cut off the part of the molecules that I don't want, chuck them out, and then just drop them over here. So, on this tile right here, we will either get a hydrogen or a sodium. And then he just, there we go, misplaced an arrow. It'll just loop back around to start. Now this one should work. So there's a sodium. Yep. And water also works. Perfect. Okay, don't want to do anything in this reactor just yet. I want to wait until I can get the NO3 part coming in. Now then, how do I want to handle the gases initially? Do I just want to sort them as is, or do I want to actually break them into atoms? The benefit of doing atoms is that they will be easier for the next reactor to handle. The detriment is that they're going to take up more space in the pipes. And because this is not a defense assignment, I don't have any storage tanks I can use to maximize my space. I think I want to do atoms, and I think I might actually be able to do so pretty quickly, actually. I think this might work, but I'm worried that if too many nitrogens come through at once, the system's going to get clogged. Ooh. You know what? I won't know until I test it, so just to get a little bit more space, because I want nitrogen atoms to come out the upper pipe. Let's just stick the note over there so it's not going to get in the way. And also, as a reminder, oxygen atoms come out the lower pipe. Again, put the note somewhere out of the way. Let's make the oxygen go a slightly longer route, mostly so there's more space. Simply because, on average, this thing's going to be producing more oxygen atoms than nitrogen atoms. And then, let's at least code this guy up, and then maybe I'll stop the episode there. So what I think I would like to do is have a different Waldo handle each gas. And how I'm going to do that is a trick I remember from my earlier times playing this. And I'm going to do something like this. going to have red do an initial call, but then I'm going to trap them on a loop like this. And then basically what's going to happen is each Waldo, I'll just have blue respond to oxygen and red respond to nitrogen. So now what will happen is if a nitrogen appears, it will be sitting on this sensor. Red will recognize that there's a nitrogen, move forward, grab it, do whatever he has to do, and then call in a new molecule before going back into this little loop. Likewise, if red happens to call in an oxygen first, blue will go forward, do whatever he needs to do, and then send another input command before going back into this loop. It's a little weird and a little counterintuitive, especially considering I usually just go straight from calling in the molecule to immediately grabbing it. But I think this will help me out just a little bit better. So what I would like is to just lay all the bonders in a row. I will have red grab onto the right hand side of the nitrogen. Sorry if I just kind of whistled right there, I did not mean to. Break away all the bonds. How am I going to get rid of the last nitrogen? Oh, he's gonna have to do such a weird little zigzag. Let's move the bonders forward just a little bit. He will send the first atom out. Hurry back to... Oh wait, no, he can't pick it up because there's going to be a bond command in the way. Okay, well that kind of ruins my idea. What if instead red takes the nitrogen up here? If I put it down on these bonders and then cut all the bonds, he's just not going to have enough time to pick up one of the nitrogen atoms, send out the first one, and then put down his and send it out before coming back. Ooh. You know what, we're approaching 40 minutes, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and end it there. I'm not thrilled about leaving a level half done, but sometimes you... at least we finished one level, right? Anyway, I will, once again, I will think about this conundrum a little bit off camera, see if I can't come up with an idea so that I'm not spending so much time sitting around and thinking. Maybe what I will do in the future, because I'm actually a little bit surprised that these situations are showing up so early, is I will go ahead and go silent and just cut out the time that I spend thinking about things, and then just bring you guys back in once I actually have figured out an idea. And in fact, that sounds like a pretty good idea, so I think I will try that in the next episode. Because I'm willing to bet that if the basic levels are making me do this, the bonus level is probably going to leave me to stop and think for a bit as well. So, on that note, with 1.5 levels, I guess, complete. Thank you guys so much for watching. Not as much progress done in this level or in this episode as I would like, but at least we made some progress, right? So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all have a great day. I will see you all in the next I keep wanting to call it level. I will see you all in the next episode, and farewell for now.